Who is this actually good for, who should skip it, and is it worth the price for normal everyday buyers? If you've been scrolling through endless spec sheets and still feel unsure, you're not alone. I've spent the last few days digging through user forums, watching a handful of long-form reviews, and even chatting with a couple of owners who use the Zephyrus G14 as both a workhorse and a weekend warrior. The link is in the description if you want to check the product details on Amazon, and I'm going to break down why this machine might or might not fit your life. First off, let's talk about the decision point that trips most people up. Do you need a laptop that can run the latest AAA titles at 1440p with ray tracing and still serve as a capable productivity machine? The answer depends on how you blend gaming with daily tasks. The G14 crams a 14-inch OLED panel at 2880x1800 resolution, 120Hz refresh, and GSYNC into a chassis that barely feels heavier than a traditional Ultrabook. That means you get the visual punch of a desktop monitor while still being able to pop the laptop into a coffee shop and type away on a full-size keyboard. If you're the kind of person who spends half the day in Excel or Photoshop and then flips a switch to stream a multiplayer match, the blend of high-resolution color accuracy and smooth frame rates is a real advantage. On the flip side, if your primary use is pure gaming on a 4K TV or you plan to tether the machine to an external monitor for the entire day, the 14-inch screen might feel cramped. The OLED display's 500 nit brightness is fantastic for indoor lighting, but you'll still notice a dip when you try to game outdoors or under bright sunlight. That's not a flaw, it's just a trade-off that comes with packing a premium screen into a portable chassis. Now let's dig into the heart of the machine, the CPU and GPU. With an AMD Ryzen 9 HX370, 12 cores, and boost speeds up to 5.1 GHz, this laptop handles multi-threaded workloads like video rendering or compiling massive codebases without breaking a sweat. Pair that with an RTX 5070 Ti and 12 GB of GDDR7, and you're looking at real-world performance that can push titles such as Cyberpunk 2077 or Elden Ring into the 60 frames per second range at high settings, thanks to DLSS 4. In practice, reviewers have noted that you can keep the graphics settings on Ultra while the frame time stays smooth, which translates to a less choppy experience in fast-paced shooters. For someone who wants to record gameplay on the side, the hardware can handle streaming at 1080p 60 frames per second while the game runs at 1440p, a combination few Ultrabooks can pull off without lag. But raw power isn't the whole story. The Zephyrus G14 includes 32 GB of LPDDR5X RAM running at 8000 MHz. That speed isn't just a brag-worthy number, it actually reduces load times in games that benefit from faster memory, and it lets you keep dozens of browser tabs, virtual machines, or design tools open without feeling the slowdown. In day-to-day use, you'll notice that switching between Photoshop, Chrome, and a Discord voice chat feels nearly instantaneous, a benefit that many gamers overlook because they focus only on FPS numbers. Storage is another practical win. A 2TB NVMe SSD gives you plenty of room for large game installs, a full media library, and all the project files you might need for work. The drive's read speeds are high enough that loading screens in games drop from the typical 510 seconds to under 3 seconds in many cases. If you ever need to transfer large video files to a colleague, the SSD's speed cuts the transfer time dramatically compared to older SATA drives. However, the downside is that the SSD is not user-replaceable. You can't pop in an extra drive later without professional service, so you'll need to decide up front if 2 TB is enough for your future growth. Connectivity-wise, the G14 brings 2 USB-A 3.2 ports, a USB-C 3.2, a USB-C 4.0, HDMI 2.1, and a headphone jack. The presence of a full-size HDMI 2.1 port means you can hook the laptop up to a 4K 120Hz TV without needing a dongle, which is a convenience many slim laptops lack. The USB-C 4.0 also supports Thunderbolt-compatible external GPUs, so if you ever want to dock the machine for a desktop-class experience, you have the bandwidth to do it. The Wi-Fi 7 support is still early in the market, but for anyone with a compatible router, you'll enjoy lower latency and higher throughput when streaming or uploading large files. One practical weakness that shows up in real-world reports is the thermals under sustained load. The laptop's compact chassis means the fans spin up quickly and can become audible when the GPU is pushing the RTX 5070 hard for more than 30 minutes. In a quiet apartment, that fan noise can be noticeable, though it's not intrusive. More importantly, the device can throttle slightly after an hour of continuous gaming, dropping average FPS by about 510%. If you plan on marathon gaming sessions, you might want to invest in an external cooling pad or keep the ambient,